Hello, true art believers. This is Pearson here. I want to welcome Sarah Megan Jenkins to the artist interview series. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good as well. We were talking earlier, and I was telling you about how lukewarm my coffee is,
Uh-huh.
and then you were stating that you were having some beer, and right, you were having some beer. Is that too much information?
No, not at all. I was actually having my favorite beer ever.
What's your favorite beer ever?
It is called a Juicifer IPA, and it is
What's a
from
juicifer?
Canyon, Louisiana.
So what is a juicifer IPA?
It's a it's fruity, but it's still I don't like normally IPAs, but for some reason this one just hits the spot and it's a little fruity, but it's not sweet, and it's not too heavy, but
Okay. What was it like? Is it like berry flavored?
absolutely. I think they have like papaya in it and pineapple. They have like a variety of different fruits in it, but it's definitely I think their most popular one in their little brewery that they have.
So is this your fifth or sixth beer that you've had
My
prior to
second.
second? You're on your second. That's good. That's good. I need to have like just a cooler right here to start like listening to everyone like, yeah, that's real good, and start slamming them. And no. Um, so Sarah, what brought you joy today?
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I have two kids, and actually one's one. She turned one about 6 days ago, and she's
Oh
just learning
wow.
how. Yeah, and she's just learned how to walk. So today, for a good 5 minutes straight, she did the whole I'm going to stand up and I'm going to take some steps and then I'm going to fall. But she hasn't quite got the hang of it yet, but she's so close. So that was probably the highlight of the whole day.
What's your 1-year-old's name?
Her name is Jolene.
Jolene. Aw.
Yeah.
Aw. So just turned one like recently and just starts walking. She decides I'm gonna walk.
Whole new world.
Yeah. Now you're gonna have to chase her.
Not a lot of painting.
What's that? What's that?
I don't get to paint a lot when that starts happening. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember the days when I could just paint whenever. Like I,
absolutely.
I get up, he's like, I'm gonna go paint, and now I'm not gonna go paint.
Yes.
So Sarah, tell us about your work. Tell us about what work you're working on, some past work, whatever you feel inclined to speak about.
Well, when I finished college, I was a painting major, and that very last semester of my college career, my dad got real sick and he ended up passing away. And when I was doing my BFA, obviously something like that overtakes you. It just
Mhm.
overtakes you no matter what you're trying to do. It takes your attention away from a lot of other stuff. But at
Mhm.
least I could paint. And I painted a picture of this amazing trip we went on together as like a little family before he died. And I was painting memories from that trip. Well, after college, I moved to New Orleans and I started selling paintings for a living. And on this place called Jackson Square, right in the middle of New Orleans. And then I learned that I could, since I was so free from that college world, I could paint all kinds of whatever I wanted.
Mhm.
But one thing that definitely stuck the entire time were these type of landscapes that were kind of a strange composition, and it was about my memories. So I wasn't trying to use any like photo references. It was all kind of, kind of warped a little, and you tweak the things you remember the most, and some things are all blurry. And I kind of continued that series for a long time. I still am. And nowadays I've kind of transitioned into I only paint big stuff, and they're mainly storms lately because it's kind of like that whole roller coaster of life where you just have these up and downs, and there's a storm going to come and it's going to change things, but there's always the sun that comes out later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Are still storms. I've been kind of stuck in those for like 3 years.
Why do you feel? Do you feel like there's a storm coming, or is it passing?
When I first started the storms, there was definitely a storm, a personal storm going on that I was dealing with, and I kind of painted through it. And I had a solo show with a good like 25 to 30 pieces, which was awesome, and it was nice to work on something like that. And then after that, I feel like my emotional storm has definitely calmed down, but I'm not over painting about experiences of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been either paint storm scenes or I paint ocean scenes because I think that's where I find my zen, is at the ocean, the beach.
Do you go to the beach often?
I try to. We live not too far, but I think we've been a couple times this summer, which was nice because there wasn't that many people out because of the whole 2020 thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I do try to go as much as I can.
So how many times you go this year? 4 times?
At least.
4
Absolutely.
times?
I'd love to go some more, but school's about to start. It's going to be tough. But
Like for school for your kids or school for you, or
for my kindergartner.
how's that going to work?
Whew, it's going to be tough. I'm going to be a virtual teacher with my kindergartner for at least one semester. But it's going to be a
You're
new
going to
learning.
be a virtual teacher?
Well, I'm going to be teaching my kindergartner virtually everything going on because she doesn't know the computer world, and it'll be an experience, but I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm going to try to get her really ahead in the reading and sounding stuff out. Hopefully it goes well.
So I was looking at your work and I was trying to think about like the forms. When you are designing your composition, how does that play out? Because when I look at them, I see like I see them kind of broken down into kind of shapes, like with the waves. You got the arcing waveform, and then you got a few other masses that are symbolic of rocks or landscapes. That's what I kind of gathered. How do you structure your work?
Well, you know how some artists are like, I have this vision and I got to get it out. I don't really have a vision. I know that I want to paint certain colors, use certain colors, and I know I want to paint a landscape, but I honestly have no idea what they're going to turn out until they're like all the way done. And I think those forms just take time to build over. I use a lot of different mediums. Like, I go through this whole process of dyeing coffee filters and having all different colors in those, and I build those up layers to create an atmosphere. And then I also use a lot of eggshells, which was kind of strange, but we actually have a bunch of chickens, so I have all these eggshells all the time, and I really like that texture that they make without the shine. Like, I like that matte feel that they give it. And then I also use a lot of heavy body paint and cut paper. Sometimes I use beads. I kind of just, I collect things in my studio and then just stick it in there because it's kind of a cool little quality. But I'm also very messy in my studio, which
It looks like it.
learned. I am. Like, I've learned to accept it, embrace it, but I'm just a messy painter. I heard that all painters are messy, though. I don't know if that's true.
I've found some LinkedIn artists who do hyperrealism paintings, and I asked, "Why are you painting in a suit?" And they're painting in a suit. They're like, "I just wear my button-up suit," and they're doing these really clean paintings are like, I don't get paint on me ever. I'm like, you're weird, because I get paint on me constantly. So it's. I think the person that doesn't get paint on them is the outlier, really, if they're an artist. Um, Eggshells. Do you stick them in there, or are you grinding them up, or both?
I don't grind them up. I wash them off real good, and I get that like inner layer out, and they're real fragile after that. And I use a gloss modeling paste, like Liquitex,
Uh-huh.
and I'll put the gloss on, and then I just push those suckers in. And if I want them to be more cracky, I kind of extra push, and sometimes I like the big chunks. I like that mosaic feel of it.
So is that why you have a bunch of paintings of chickens? Because you happen to own chickens, and so you're like,
Yeah.
this is Robert, the king of the coop, and this is Emily, or I don't know. I'm just making up names.
Exactly.
Do you have any names for your chickens?
Oh yeah, we got Lagatha, Tina Turner, because she almost she almost died from my dog, and I rescued her. And then I was like, "You've been abused, my poor chicken." And so she became Tina Turner. We got Mary Ann's, we got Goldies, we got all kinds of names. My daughter also really loves making names up for them. So
Do they change constantly?
no, she
Or
sticks with it.
sticks with it?
Yes, she does. She's very strict on that.
So you get a lot of eggs every day.
I do.
How many eggs do you get a day?
At one point, we were getting like 24 a day, which was great. And then you get really tired of eggs.
24. So you ate 24 eggs a day?
Oh no, I probably eat an average of like 4 eggs a day, which I still think that's a lot. Like that's a lot, but
That is a lot for the average American. Yeah.
it's just that's my breakfast: 4 scrambled eggs a day, and that's it. But
what was your most recent show? You were talking about how you had a solo show. Was that recent?
it was actually 2 in Memphis at the Jewish Community Center. Mm-hmm. Awesome gallery, and the curator, her name's Marcy. She's so nice. But I think they had put a call out for solo shows, and I put in a little idea I had. It was called Awakened by the Storm. Awakened by the Storms.
Yeah.
And Marcy accepted it, and I went up there, and it was very successful. I loved it. I actually grew up not far from Memphis, so I had a lot of family able to make it, and people that I've known my whole life, which was even awesome.
So when you went to Memphis College of Art, yes?
Yes.
That sounds familiar. I think I've heard of that college before. Before you went to Memphis College of Art, did you have any other like education or degree in mind, or was art where you wanted to go?
It's funny. I didn't even do much art in high school. I was actually a sports player, and my senior year, I got really not interested in the sports and the whole competition world. It was very serious at that point. But and I started playing around with art in my art class, and my teacher was like, "You should do one of those AP portfolios." I was an art 1. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
And I did one of the art portfolios, and then I actually went to Ole Miss for 1 semester, and I had a professor there. His name is Vitus Shell. You might know Vitus. He went to MCA as well. He suggested if I was serious in art, I should go to Memphis College of Art. And so I kind of looked into it, and one thing led to another. And that same semester, I finished Ole Miss, went straight to art school because I knew that I wanted to be more serious about it than what they were offering me at that time at Ole Miss.
Well, like what was Old Miss offering you?
Well, at university like that, it was you take your like small classes like 3D design or the basics, and you wouldn't be able to take any serious classes until you were a junior because that was like what direction you were going to go in later. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to start. I didn't want that. I didn't want to take other classes that I wanted just art. So I wanted to dive into it. So I went there, and it literally was diving into all about art, and I knew nothing. Especially going into those art history lecture classes, and everyone already knew like a basic foundation of art history. Had no idea, and it was a little intimidating at first, but I learned a lot, and I definitely wouldn't be any day if it wasn't for that school.
Yeah. What was
Hmm.
a weird event that or a weird no what would you call it, like a an interesting memory that occurred from Memphis? Did you have any?
Oh, I have so many memories from Memphis,
Go
but
for it.
ooh, I don't know which one to share or what to share.
Yeah, you gotta navigate through that. That's going to be the hard part. You don't want to be too share too much, you know.
Yeah, I think just let me just hit the basics. But this being surrounded by all the music, I listened to a lot of live music during those days as well. Um, I had great times at the May Festival. Oh, that's hard. I did meet my husband there.
Oh
That's
yeah.
like my favorite thing from Memphis was meeting him, and that kind of changed my life. Obviously, he was from New Orleans and was like, "Hey, when we graduate, do you want to go to New Orleans and sell paintings and on the streets?" And I was like, "Okay," because I didn't know, I had no idea what to expect. But I enjoyed my time in Memphis, but I was also really happy to move away and start another chapter in life.
Hmm. What what is a like typical work day with regards to painting? Like how's that? How do you work through that? Like what do you do? Do you have a set like regiment, or is it just whenever? Like, what do you do? What's your day?
Well, since I have my two girls,
I get it.
I'm definitely a stay-at-home mom, but also full-time artist. So in between getting snacks for the girls or doing whatever they need, I'll come in and paint maybe like 5 minutes at a time. That's actually one of my favorite things about painting is I can just pick right back up and kind of go at it whenever. I can
Mhm.
spend 5 minutes or an hour, and at least I'm still getting it in. Some stuff
Mhm.
like pottery, which is also a direction I'm to right now, it takes a lot longer to just warm up. But my like warm up to painting would be, even though I'm messy, I have to like tidy my area. Like I gotta get everything tidy and in its spot, and then I make a big mess, and then it just stays a mess until I'm ready to re-tidy it up again.
So,
So,
so you got to have like 3 or 4 juicifer cans of beer to the side. So
no,
one for every
no,
five
it's
minutes.
actually it's very difficult to drink and paint. You just can't do it.
You if you get
It's not that easy.
a lanyard with a koozie and a straw. I think I've seen those before. Have you? You know what I'm talking about? I think they're like very popular in float trips or in Las Vegas or something.
I have seen some. I got one when I went canoeing down the Spring River in Arkansas, and it just holds your beer right here. But I straw, but that's actually a pretty good idea.
So that 5 minutes. That's so you paint for 5 minutes at a time. I gotta steal that. I really do gotta steal that. As
Well, it's hard to with the little children running around like mom. So
Yeah.
it's definitely those things I just try to get in. But I'm really good at starting paintings, and I'm really bad at finishing them.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
So because it's really fun to have a blank canvas and just go at it on those first few layers because it carves out the rest of it. And it's really hard. This is another one of my like weaknesses, I guess. But it's really hard for me to just paint over an entire area. Just taking that like, okay, this isn't working out. And instead of like painting over it, I just stare at it for a long time, trying to figure out how I can make it work. And then I end up starting a new piece. And then that one's kind of put on the backside, and you're kind of like, well, it never worked out, but maybe in like 6 months, I'll get it back out and I'll know exactly what to do. And that does happen quite often. But it makes a big pile of unfinished paintings as well. So.
How many unfinished paintings do you have right now?
Too many. Probably like 50.
50?
Oh, yeah.
Unfinished paintings? Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, at least.
So, how long does it take for you to finish a painting then, if you have so many kind of unfinished ones?
Sometimes I have this one painting I've been working on for 9 months, and one of my friends commissioned me to do a painting. Well, she invited me to her wedding on the West Coast, but I had like a 5-day-old baby at the time, and I just couldn't travel that far. Mm-hmm. So I saw all the pictures, and then she had told me she wanted a painting of the West coastline with the ocean. So she was willing to like pay me and stuff, but I've now have painted on it for so long that it's going to be their 1-year anniversary gift.
That's awesome.
So it's coming along, and I'm almost done, and it literally did take me like 9 months, but because I had a lot going on.
It's like it probably shows a lot of history, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that's what I like. I think that makes a good painting is showing that time you've put in on it.
I think that's to the novice or to the untrained eye, like general people that are looking at paintings, they see the final outcome, but like the labor and time, and there's this huge disconnect, right? Like they're like, that took you 9 months to paint, it's hard for them to like wrap their head around it, or at least my experience from customers, they're like, how come it took you that long? Well, oil paints take a long time to dry, and there's multiple layers on this, and then like the compositions are not necessarily set in stone at the beginning, and the composition is organic in a sense. Would you say that's how your work is a little bit, where it's when it's done, you just know?
Yes, they definitely just go on their own.
And isn't that kind of weird though? Like it's hard to explain that to someone that doesn't get it. Like you're like, how do you know when it's done, or like how come you didn't come in with a plan? Well, do you have some sort of plan, like a little action, like I want some waves here, some things over here. Don't know what they are, but there's something, and I guarantee you there's gonna be some clouds. What happens in that? What happens in the time frame is right. Can you go over that a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. And then sometimes I'll finish a painting and I'll be like, you know what? Next time when I have something like this, I'm gonna adjust it and go for this, and I'll try. And it still doesn't turn out how I was like, oh, that's what I was trying to do. It turns out in a different level that I had this one teacher in college that I needed to take pictures of my pieces as I paint them, because I should have stopped a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I still need to do that. I think about that all the time because it's hard to know when to stop. And then I also had someone ask me once, like, how do you know when a painting's finished? And for a while, because I was selling paintings after I would finish them, sometimes I was still working on them. I was literally like, they're finished when I sell them.
Yeah.
Like when someone comes up and they say, okay, I'll take it.
Give me that painting. Right?
Which is hard for me, but at the same time, like it's funny how some of my paintings will transition into an entire different.
Yeah.
The plan doesn't work a lot. And then it becomes.
You said that you took some photos of your artwork, and you found that some of the process photos, like the images, were a little like they were better at this stage than they were when I finished it. Is that what you said?
Yes.
How'd that make you feel? Like noticing that, like you didn't know.
Honestly, was like an eye opening. Like, wow, you were absolutely right. Because in my mind, when I'm looking at that stage, I'm thinking of the basic stuff. No, I got to add some value over here to push and pull.
Mm-hmm.
This area right here is too heavy, and I need some breathing spot, or all these one side or the other, making that balance.
Yeah.
And it makes sense though at certain points, but in the moment, I have a hard time just stopping. It's always been my, I guess, a little painting weakness.
I'm sorry. What was that?
It's always been one of my painting weaknesses.
Oh
Is
yeah,
knowing when to stop.
not knowing, becoming blind to your work, and in a sense that you don't know when something great is forming. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think we're
Oh
both
no.
going in and out. No, I don't like that.
No. So like you don't know when something great is forming. Like you pass up the so like the I've often said this to the students, like the when you're painting like the paint's getting better and better and better and better, and then it plateaus, and then it might get better and better and better, but then it might just start going downhill and you don't even know it, right? Because you're just
Yep.
making all the bad choices later on, right?
Yep.
And it just takes like a fine tuning, seeing where the bad choices are at and stopping. But but you love the act of doing it so much that it doesn't matter, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I like. I like that process and building it and building it and see what happens when I do this. And I'm actually getting a little better because I've been painting full time now for 10 years as a constant full time job. And I am getting better at these things, but it's definitely still one of those continuations of something I need to work on. And that self discipline coming in to, working through your art. I do sketchbook a lot, which is, I try to like actively remind myself of these goals instead of just painting, not thinking. Because I do that too. I'll just start painting and I'm not thinking about the painting, I'm thinking about other
Mhm.
stuff. And then I get off track of like what I was trying to shoot for. But that's that self discipline I'm still trying to work out, which is the challenge, which is the best part.
Well, I think to be a full-time artist, you got to have at least some discipline, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's funny selling art. When you go to school and since I went to an art school, it was conceptual. Like, what is your art and what's it doing? When you're out in the world selling art, especially representing yourself at art festivals or art markets, not at art exhibitions at an actual show, but just when you're doing these like small festivals and stuff, people don't, every once in a while you will get people that ask you about your art and what does it mean, but people aren't even about that a lot, which is not the fun part of selling art. They get more on, well, if this was a little smaller, or if you would have used more of this color, I would like it. And I was like, it becomes more of, let me bend what I want to do, my conceptual art, to your selling needs to try to make a living. It really changes. It changes you as an artist. It's kind of sad because it kind of bends you towards a marketing strategies versus, what do you want to make inside? Like what do you want to come out? So I did that for 10 years. I did hardcore selling stuff that I honestly was just learning how to manipulate paint, learning techniques. And I knew people would like these techniques, and I knew they would like these colors, and I could play around with it. But now I'm in life where I don't want to make art based on what other people like. I want to make art for me. And that's a hard transition. You have to take more risks, which selling paintings is a risk in general. But it's worth it. You get to meet that small amount of group that you can connect with on a different level, which is by far my favorite part about selling art, is meeting amazing people that you can just meet and you feel like you've known them your whole life, and you continue to be friends after that. It's a fun experience, especially representing yourself.
Yeah. I noticed that you had a giant patrons page on your website.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
often
they're
do you
awesome.
update that?
I haven't updated it in a while, actually. I used to do a lot more festivals, and I was a lot active in the world more until I had kids.
Yeah.
And that a good year and a half after you have a kid, you can start slowly getting back into it.
Yeah.
And I'm just now starting to get back into it with having my second child. And since the coronavirus hit, and we had nothing but time, because art festivals, who knows when they will start having art festivals again.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time to do the thing I was saying of making art for yourself, and not start exploring more about what you want to do and not what you can make money with.
Yeah.
So, I took a couple of pottery classes in school, and it was a perfect time to get a pottery wheel and have this therapeutic time with learning something new, playing with different material, and it's been actually really awesome. So I've actually mostly enjoyed the whole quarantine life. I can't say I enjoyed it, but I did start playing with something that was refreshing. And after I've been playing with it for about 6 months and I'm starting to paint again, it's actually helped me in my paintings, with depth and color studies on trying to get a two-dimensional painting to look more three-dimensional, because I've been working with the sculptural stuff for a good time now that I'm seeing things different. It's really nice. I would actually recommend that for anybody. Get you a pottery wheel. It keeps you a balance that has been hard to keep lately with everything going on in the world.
Why did you decide to do pottery?
Well, I took a couple classes in school, and again, it was at MCA. It was very conceptual, so I didn't learn a wheel. They didn't have a class to just, hey, you're learning the wheel today. It was all, you have to come in and work on your own skill level. If you want to learn that, there it is. You got to come figure it out. And I honestly never had time. I worked a full-time job while going to school full-time, so I didn't get to do as hard in school as I had wished, but it was all worth it. But so now I've been wanting to do it for years, and I never had time. But now that we had a lot of time and started playing with it, and it's been great. It's fun.
So you're making. I noticed you're making like cups.
Yeah, so my first main goal is I just want to make a bunch of mugs. And I have this plan to release like little mini series where I have a painting and these mugs are like interpretations of that painting. So it'll all kind of go together, and there might be a couple paintings in as well. So I plan on releasing like, okay, here's my little mini series of, let's say, well, this painting right here actually, it's like I'm working on like an aerial view looking down at a beach. So it has a little wave layers, and I'm working on a series of my mugs that have that same type of layering on top where it's like waves coming up. So they'll be like intertwined. They all kind of connect, but that's my plan.
Do you cook you put do you put them in a kiln or anything, or you let them dry?
Oh yeah. You have to let them air dry and get all the moisture out, and then you put them in a kiln and you fire it once, and then you put the glaze on it, and then you fire it again. There's multiple layers to it. It's just chemistry, and it takes a lot to get it all set up. But
so you have a kiln.
In the end, I have a couple kilns. Yes.
Oh wow. How much does a kiln cost these days? Did you make one or did you buy one?
I bought one, and it was used kiln from a lady that I met at an art festival that was selling one, and I was like, you know what, I'm interested in that. And then actually my other kiln is a gas kiln, and it's actually my friend that is a potter's kiln, but it's here in my house in my studio, because it's a gas kiln. So we have this hookup, and we're working on getting it hooked up. We've been troubleshooting it for like 5 days now. It's been very frustrating, but we're going to figure it out, and one step at a time. And like I said, all I have right now is time and patience, especially with being patient with the world opening back up and calming down. But it's so fun, and I've learned a lot. Like, I know what a regulator is now, which is like a gas component that you have to put on your gas line, and it's just endless, which is fun. That's the fun part.
How many mugs a day are you making?
Okay, so you know how if I paint, I only paint like minutes here, 10 minutes there? Well, when it comes to the clay world, I need to like a couple hours, because once you get when I get messy, it's like all of me, all over there. I have like this little area and I can't just run and be like, here, let me hold you, little sweet child.
Oh, kisses. Oh, now you need a bath.
Yeah. So when my husband is able to watch the kids for a good amount of time, I'll make some. But every time I do it, I probably make like 20. Because
20 in an hour?
Yeah. No, probably maybe like 2 hours. I can make 20, but
you
have to let them dry a little bit, and then the next day you have to put the handles on it, and you have to trim them, and then the next day you gotta like fix any little thing that might be wrong. So it's like a 3-day process of actually getting the mugs to a form, because you have to the clay's so sensitive. You have to wait for all these different stages of the clay.
So in reality, though, like that's doing those mugs is probably your fastest artwork that you kind of experience.
Yeah, it's totally like it, because I don't have to, like, when you're doing the pottery wheel, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about, I kind of sketch all the mugs out before I do it. So then that hard part's already done, like figuring out what I want to do. So I can just do it. It's just like a muscle skill level. I can do that and have a beer and be like, yeah, this is fun. Because it just comes out and you're like, woo, look at this. It's different. It's giving me some good balance, though.
And you're back to painting, yeah?
I am. I'm back to painting. I'm actually going through a lot of my finished paintings, because I have a lot of those too. open up a new store. I kind of closed my old store down. I wasn't really liking how the platform worked. Working on a new store, and hopefully I'm not going to open it though until I have some pottery finished so I can start to sell both. Hopefully the next month I'll have things up and going, but you never know.
So, do you have a proudest childhood accomplishment?
um, when I was younger, okay, I always liked being outside, always. And I thought it was so awesome to go to these state parks. And I really wanted to be a state park worker. Kind of one of the things I wanted as a child. Like, I'm going to be a park ranger. And then when I got older, I realized don't really want to do that or work for anybody. You know what? I would. That's a hard question. I just like being outside, and I also really like to be with family. That was kind of my thing. Just like, let's go camping. We went camping a lot. And actually, that's the one thing I wish we could, like, I could go back in time and do is go on a family camping trip. And that was like the highlight always.
I was going to ask about that. Like, what's a childhood memory that you're very fond of? Is that something that's high up on there? Camping with family?
Yeah, we would go kayaking and canoeing, and we would take all of our friends. It'd be like a big, crazy adventure in Arkansas. It was good times. It was really good.
Do you go camping now, or it's not as much as you used to, or is it like a relegated to the past?
Yeah, we try to. It's kind of hard. We have a lot of animals.
Oh yeah.
We have the chickens, and we have dogs, and we have a sulcata tortoise, which they get real big. She's awesome. And we got like 5 fish tanks. Currently, my daughter and husband have a roly-poly farm.
Oh yeah.
It's actually pretty awesome, yeah. But there are thousands of roly-polies in that thing. Like, it's full strange.
How'd you get so many roly polies?
Well, it's actually one of my 5-year-old favorite hobby is to go searching for roly-polies in the yard. So we'll spend a lot of time. We were like at the beginning of the quarantine life, we were outside every day. That was like the main thing that kept me from not like having anxiety overboard. I was outside trying to do garden work.
Uh-huh.
So we were trying to make it as fun as we could. And we have a friend who has a roly-poly farm, which is just an aquarium, has layers of dirt, and then you put your roly-polies in there with a plant, and then you feed it carrots. And I'm talking thousands of roly-polies. Thousands.
And is it like an ant farm where you can actually see like the burrows? Do they kind of go underneath the ground?
Some of them, yeah. Like around the edge, you can. And you can see the little babies, and they're like teeny, teeny, teeny. It's fun. I didn't realize it would be so easy to make such a fun little environment in your living room window, but it is so fun to watch. And then, of course, it's educational for our daughter. She wants to know all about it. Since we have a lot of animals, she's determined to be an animal doctor, and she wants to know all. Tell me everything about it. So it's been fun.
So you've learned a lot about roly-polies.
Not too much technical stuff, but just how easy it is to feed them.
Okay. So they love carrots.
Yeah. Here's a weird thing about roly. They can censor. They have sensors on them that when you breathe out of what is it that you breathe out?
CO2.
CO2. Anyway, Yeah, they can detect that and then they run away real fast. So if you lean over and breathe on them, they all just disappear, and it's because they can detect that in your breath. And I think it's like one of their natural. Um, you better run. Something's right there. It's gonna eat you.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of cool.
And I'm curious, is it like a sheath of roly polies on top, or they're doing their own thing?
When carrot, like if you have the carrots up there, they cover it, and then you'll see a couple of them just crawling around randomly. But then on the side of the aquarium, you can see that little layer of a tunnel, and then I would say that it's their little eggs, but I think it's not. Like we talk about this often. We're like, is that egg? You're like, I don't know, but you think, and they get teeny, I'm teeny, teeny, teeny.
What other like little projects are you and your family doing that are kind of like that?
My husband's actually working on a aquaponics system right now. He has a couple little ones going, but he's working on like a big one.
What's an aquaponic system?
It's where you have a body of water that you have fish in,
Okay.
and there is a pump that pumps out the water through the roots of plants and then comes back into the water and recycles itself over and over. So it's like the plants are constantly getting this fertilized water of the fish, and our plan is to the big one he's working on. I think is an 800-gallon um, tank that's outside, and our plan is to grow fish to eat, but also have plants on top to eat. We really want to make like at least our goal is to have like 70% of all the stuff we eat is stuff we grew ourselves.
That's
That's
awesome.
our goal. It's gonna take a while to get there, but we're slowly working on it.
Like 0% is what I eat is what I grew. I
You
also don't
should
have the
like
space.
you should put some pepper plants in the backyard. They're easy.
I'll probably get if I did, I'll get in trouble with the uh, the association that say you can't do that.
Oh
They'll tell me,
no!
what are these plants? Bell peps. No,
Get it out of
that's
here.
so. What's the motivation for the green initiative? Like, is that something that's always been uh, a part of you as a person?
Absolutely. My grandparents that grew up in like the Great Depression times, they always had a garden and a huge garden, and one where they would have so much they would store it in their freezer all year round. We'd be eating it,
Wow.
and that's always stuck. And it was fun too as a kid. My papa would be like, "Come on, Sarah, let's go out to the garden," and he take his knife and like dig around the dirt, and he'd say, "Now what's under there?" And it would be potatoes. It was like treasure hunting. He's like, "How many potatoes can you find?" It was great.
How many did you find?
Oh, so many, because they'd be like teeny to big, and that's one of my favorite memories. I think that is a good childhood memory right there. Digging potatoes out of the ground.
If they grow buds on the side, you can like use that to grow new potatoes. Is that true? Is that,
Yeah, that's true.
and then is there other fruits or veggies that do that? Do you know of off the top of your head that you can kind of
Well,
like?
there's a lot of plants that you could just break a piece off and stick it in the ground, and it's going to reroot itself. Like basil. If you
Oh,
ever
really?
saw a big basil plant, you could just break a stem off, put it in water, it'll root itself. There's a lot of a pineapple. Maybe not where you live, but down here on the coastline, you can cut the top off of a pineapple and stick it in some dirt, and then in 2 years, you can grow yourself a pineapple.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, it's fun.
You've done that before?
Yeah, I have like four going right now.
I heard that avocados are very hard to grow. I had a seed just hanging out that I threw in the compost heap, and then it started growing. And I heard that that's not supposed to happen. Someone told me like you're
Hard.
like you're not supposed to have that happen to your avocado. And I was like, I don't know what to do with it.
You should have saved it.
I
Loved
thought
it.
about it, but like I didn't know where to start growing it. It's never occurred to me, But like I heard that it's very hard for that to happen. Why is that? Do you know?
Well, avocado seeds, I think, have a hard time if they're not in the right position. It doesn't grow straight up.
Okay.
But that is actually very rare. You should That's pretty cool. I actually have an avocado plant, and it's like 7 feet tall.
Oh wow. How long does it take to start producing anything?
Honestly, it may never produce here with these conditions, like where I live, but I've heard 4 or 5 years, and mine's actually like 4 years old. So it's never produced. But I also talked to a lady the other day who planted hers in the ground here down way south, and it produced for her, but she has to baby it in the winter, like super baby it. So maybe one day I'll do that. It's just hard to pick a spot to. Right now, it's just in a huge pot, and you just take it when it freezes. It's fun because it's hard. Just like it's not normal for the seed to just grow.
Yeah. So like, where do you say you're at right now, percentage-wise, with the producing your own food? You said you want to get up around 70%. Like, where do you think you're at right now?
Well, normally we have a high amount of stuff in the summertime, but when Corona hit, everyone went to the stores and bought all the seeds, everything, and so we got a real late start on some of the stuff we would normally. But right now, the only thing that I have going right now that's producing where I can actually eat it is cayenne peppers, and they are spicy. But normally we have cucumbers, and it depends on what we eat. Like if we were going to eat a salad with like boiled egg and peppers and cucumber and a couple little carrots. I've grown carrots. It would be like, this is 100%. But on a daily basis, nowadays, we're not really eating as much as we hoped. Because also what happened this summer was a bunny rabbit kept getting into my garden and would nibble on the plant and then decide they didn't want it and then just leave it there. And it would come in there and nibble every single one of them. So I lost a lot this year. But we're working on it.
It was a wascally rabbit, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And my tortoise, her name's Frida. She's supposed to be our garden protector because she lives in our garden bed. Nope. She just hangs out with the rabbits all day and lets them just eat our food.
How old is Frida?
Frida is, I think, 2 now, and she used to be about this big.
Yeah.
We got her. She was 6 months old, and now she's big.
And how big are they supposed to get?
They can get up to 100 pounds.
So real big. And
yeah.
What does Frida eat?
Oh, that's the best part. Well, when she was a little baby, we had to feed her like romaine lettuce and other type of lettuces. But now that she just lives outside all the time, she just eats the grass. That's her favorite meal because she's from Africa and like a desert tortoise. So grass is like
gold.
Absolutely. So she's the easiest pet we got. She's awesome. She's chill. She doesn't need anything. She's just like, hey, what's up? Give me a strawberry every once in a while. And so when we give her that, but she does not protect the garden. We need to work on that. We're going to work on that.
Yeah. And you're back to painting, but like and it's truly you. Like it's you're the work that you're creating is less dictated by the market, and so
Absolutely.
you feel less, you feel more free, right? At least that's my interpretation.
Yeah,
As
I do.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
and you're working. How many pieces are you working on currently? At least two. It looks like it.
Eh, it's kind of a lot back there. I got paintings everywhere.
Oh, okay, at least 5 or 6.
Yeah. I like this one. Wait, this side. This is a really big one back here. I've been working on for a few months. But I just had this awesome experience of going to Horn Island for the first time. So I have a couple pieces that are my reflection of that I'm working on because I want to. So also when it comes to painting, and not only is it, oh, I got like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Sometimes you just get on that wave of like inspiration and you just want to ride it. And when I got back from Horn Island, that's what I wanted to do. So again, it was real easy to start these new paintings of, okay, I know what I'm kind of going for. I'm going to try to get these out and ride that wave as long as I can. And then it puts the current ones on back burners, like the ones hanging up, because I'm so into the new one. And that's kind of where I'm at right now is just kind of getting my feel for that Horn Island feel because that was a big in college. That was one of those places that a lot of artists would go to for an adventure, and they would have like the college credit. And I could never do that. I was never able to. I had work, and I was never able to do it. So now, later in life, after wanting that experience for so long and getting to go out there, it's exciting. So I'm playing with that.
How's it inspired you?
Well, the beach. Okay, first the beach. Always that ocean, the tide pulling in and out, and the waves has always created some type of balance for me. I don't know if I'm not feeling right, and I go to the beach, I'm like, ah. So when I found out I was going to get to go to Horn Island, I knew that it would be different because it's out a little ways. I also knew other things coming into it, like the islands right off Mississippi coast, and on it can. I thought it was going to be real dirty. Like I've seen a lot of stuff that people come back, they bring trash back, and I knew, but I also knew that I wanted to go to this island where Walter Anderson would go on his rowboat and have these natural nature experiences. So when I went, the first thing I noticed was the water really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not like when you're looking on like Biloxi where it's all dark and gross water. It was actually got these nice green tones. It was clearer than I thought. So that was good because I thought it wasn't as polluted. And then there was trash, of course. The saddest part was when you just kind of see people leave trash. They're like right there leaving the trash, and you're like, why? And I liked how it was nothing on it, like no man-made structures. I did see I think it was on that island. We went to a couple of islands. There was like a boat bench. And I was like, how did this boat bench get out here? And apparently a boat sank and that bench floated. And it floated to the beach there. It was interesting.
A boat bench.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, how would this get here? And the one of the people we were with were like, well, a boat sank. It's like, wow. It's just going to a different like world, even though it's not really a different world, and just having a different experience. And then thinking about those experiences that Walter Anderson did out there and what he produced, what he was going through. It was satisfying. Nice.
How I'm gonna sound silly, but who's Walter Anderson?
Walter Anderson, He was a artist who lived in Ocean Springs. I believe he lived there. He might have lived around that area. But there's a museum there for him called the Walter Anderson Museum. And he did a lot of he had some mental imbalances, which is always really interesting when you look at his artwork, because he did a lot of he did a lot of drawings of animals, linear, like line work, but he would do it from looking at the animal. So one of the things he did when he went to Horn Island was there'd be a lot of dead animals, and he would sit there and draw all these dead animals multiple ways, different angles. I mean, and make these amazing. He was very influenced by like the block print feel of the line work, and he did these amazing watercolors. You should look into him.
I'll write them down.
He's inspiring.
What other artists are you fond of, or do you appreciate?
A visual artist. It's funny. Like lately, I haven't really looked into visual artists. I've been listening to music, and I pick up on like the poetry of musicians more than influenced by visual artists lately. But like I do like a lot of a couple of my contemporary artists I like is Cecily Brown. I've always liked her stuff. It's very like figurative, fast, a whole bunch of brush marks. And I think the reason why I really like her stuff is because it's nothing like I would paint. And one of those type of artists that would make a mark and you just leave it and confident with her mark making. So I really look up to that. And I like Kiki Smith. That was one of my favorite sculptor artists. Did a lot of figurative stuff as well with clay. Nowadays, what is his name? There was this guy, he had a huge painting in the New Orleans Museum of Art. Of course, I'm not going to remember his name. If my husband were here, he'd be like, this is his name, because he can remember everything. I'll think of it when the interview's over, is what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're like, right when we stop, you're like, blah, blah, blah. That's the name. You'll just state it out loud, and you're like, I knew it. I just didn't. It was on the tip of my tongue. I get it. So I already got a kind of a picture of like some of your interests. But do you have anything that we haven't talked about, like any hobbies or interests that really you devote a lot of time towards?
My main time is devoted to the children, which is absolutely my favorite thing in the world. I would not change that for anything. And then I got my painting, and I have my pottery, and I have my garden and flowers. And those are just really my main hobby. I enjoy my friends and my family a lot, and I know lately all that got all mixed up with traveling and going to listen to live music or just going to a bar to hang out for just a minute. Like those have been the main things that have been keeping me going lately.
Drinking Jucifer.
Jucifer, yeah.
I'm gonna write that down and see if I can find it.
I'm not sure if it's available where you are, but if it is, you should just give it a try.
Don't crush my dreams.
It's definitely a local thing. It's all down here, everywhere, but never know.
So a few other things. Do you have any business advice that you could give to anyone, like to me or to artists that are looking to pursue an art career?
Ooh, business advice.
Some things that worked, some things that didn't work.
I think one of the biggest and hardest thing for anyone who wants to be an artist as a full-time is taking that jump to do it. Just diving straight in and it's a gamble. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what people are going to think of what you have. Um, I think my advice is to not be scared, to just do it, because if you want to do it, you will figure it out. And it will, if you put the hard work into it, it will, you, and it really, like, it's strange and it's hard to even know why that happens, but it's true. Like, if you work hard, people will respond. You will meet the most wonderful people. You'll have really bad fest you'll have really bad times where you're not making much money. You'll have really good times. And trying to stay consistent daily and have that self discipline of, I'm going to put the work into it. I'm going to do this because I know it'll be rewarding later. And it's true. And one thing that when I first started doing this about business cards, I was like, oh, my business card. Business cards are, they work years later. I've had people contact me 7 years later and say, hey, I've had your business card when I saw you this one time, and I just wanted to see what you had, and I love it, and I want to buy this, or I want to commission you with something. They really do hang on to that. And I know it's really hard for artists to put themselves out there, because it's, you're putting yourself out there, and if people don't respond the way that you hoped, it can be a little crushing. But you just got to keep doing it. You got to have that confidence. Just do it. And don't take anything too personal. That's one thing I think that I learned the most in college at an art school, was getting that hardcore critique. I miss it. I miss people just telling me. I miss the, like, 20 people just being open, telling me everything, and then you just learn from that. And when you're out in the world on your own, sometimes the criticism you get is not exactly help. It doesn't help you. It can crush you a little bit. But just keep going.
What criticisms are you getting?
Oh, when you work on the streets of New Orleans, like, and have you ever been to Jackson Square?
I've been nowhere. I've literally been. I've been to like 2 places. I've been nowhere.
Okay. Okay, so Jackson Square is in the middle of the French Quarter, which is where everyone hangs out in New Orleans, right? And it's on the streets. Everyone's just walking around. And there's this fence around a park. And right in front of that park is a cathedral. Looks like Disney World. It's like a castle, cathedral. It's beautiful. They call it the Heart of. Well, there's this fence around that park where artists set up. They get a little space and you can set up. So you just have people walking by. It's not like an art festival where people come to that festival to look for art. It's not like that. There's just people randomly, and they came by some art, and then they some people will just tear you apart and be like, what is this? And you're like, you should just keep walking, because it's, they also, a lot of people they criticize the price. They'll be like, I am not paying this on the street, blah, 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 blah. Because they're not there to look for art. They're just there to kind of party, and some of them cause trouble on purpose. Like, that's their thing. Like, let me go over here and give this girl some hassle. That doesn't happen a lot, but it does. And then you meet people that had no idea there was art here. And this is amazing, and can we talk about it? And you can have a full-on conversation with someone for over an hour of truly connecting with what your painting is trying to say, and they're like, I get it, and then they can't leave without it. And I think that's the most wonderful part about just selling your own artwork, is you get to talk to these people. They get this story behind it. They get to, and it's an experience in its own for both of us. And I find it really strange. Like, I have been in a couple galleries and I've sold stuff without meeting someone, and it feels so disconnected. It's just kind of like, okay, that's cool. I wish I would have met them to know what they liked about it. Just to ask simple questions like, what does it make you feel like? And But if you're going to be an artist and you want to sell paintings, don't give up. It's going to take some time to figure it out because it's like a whole different world. But just don't give up and don't take it out on yourself too hard when something doesn't work out the way that you thought it would work out.
Yeah. So do you have any memorable like moments where someone in Jackson Square I'm just gonna go I'm just gonna say for a long time. Where like you said they rip you apart. Do you have like ones that are like, really, you're gonna say this to me? Like, come on. Or
Yeah. Like, well, there's one example. Someone will come up and be like, "Oh, I can do that."
yeah.
All the time. And you're like, "You paint? Do you paint?" Well, no, but I can do that. And it's just like, okay. Or your price points. Like, let's say I had $250 on a painting all the time. I don't know why people do this, but they'll be like, "Oh, this is $2.50." Like, they're just purposely being rude. People are like that.
Yeah. $2.50.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it is. If you play the game with them, it's easier. It's easier to be like, yeah, da, da, and you can't let it get to you. But it's hard. You have those days where it gets you, and you're just like, I am done. I am leaving for the day. But you also get those moments where my best memory that I had of somebody, they didn't even buy the painting, but there's this festival down there in the French Quarter called French Quarter Festival, and we're out there real late every night, and it must have been 11 o'clock. And so 11 o'clock in New Orleans, you got people everywhere wasted, like, on different levels. Well, this one guy came up, and you could tell he had that like accent where he couldn't really understand me. I couldn't really understand him, but we understood each other on the level of what that painting meant to me, and it meant the same thing to him. And we just started like tearing up, crying, and we were from totally two different worlds. And he was just like, "That's awesome," and gave me a hug and stared at that painting for a good 20 more minutes, or not 20, maybe 10 minutes, while I was just kind of like amazed at the moment we just had. And then he just walked away, and I'll never see that guy again. But he had a moment. We had a moment, and it was probably my favorite out there that I always think of, because it didn't even matter if I sold anything. I had made this amazing connection with very few words, and it was just same level right there. It was good. It was really good.
How many moments like that have you had?
I've had like the super good ones, at least like 15. Like, and that even includes at art festivals, because some art festivals I'll meet people that I still keep in touch with now, and I hope I check in on them. We kind of do that back and forth. They'll look for me every year if I come back, so we kind of have this ongoing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I always hope it grows, just slowly getting back out there into that world.
How many art festivals did you used to do, or like how many do you do currently? Well, there's none are happening right now, but like before, how many did you do a year?
I was doing like 2 or 3 in the spring, and then 2 or 3 in the fall. So like 5 to 6 altogether, in which I would love to expand that. And I was doing it from like Texas and the Gulf Coast. I did some in Florida. But I've come to learn that my audience for my paintings right now are that Gulf Coast life people. They really respond to it, which of course it's like ocean stuff, but also have these storms. And I actually, being at the beach when a big storm rolled in once was a big inspirational point for me, because just like the desert, when you're in like this open space and you can see so far away, these storms look even more intense, and here it comes, and we can see it coming. I like that. That's inspirational. I like it a lot.
All right. Sarah, do you have anything else to add?
Uh,
No.
I don't know. If you're an artist out there, just keep doing it.
So let's bunny hop off that and like answer one final question.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of like the same thing that I already asked, but it's not necessarily pertaining to just art. What advice would you give to someone older or younger, the same age as you, that you find to be your truth that will guide them?
Oh my. Well, I think I kind of live this motto that, the whole saying of this too shall pass. I don't really say that to myself a lot, but I still live that kind of motto. And it's kind of tomorrow's a new day, and it's going to be good. When you start it out, decide it's going to be good. And there could be some roller coasters in it, but it'll all even back out. And then tomorrow's a whole new day. Like, that's seriously my thing I go by is let me just go to sleep. This day will be over. Tomorrow's a new day. And then I can go from there. And then another thing I tell myself is, even if you don't have a lot of time to put into something you want, if you just do that little bit, it does add up. And I try to do that no matter what I'm doing, whether it's paintings or anything. It's like, little at a time, you'll get it. You'll figure it out, or it'll become whatever it is. Stay true.
Sarah, I want to say thank you for taking time to talk with me about your work, talk about, just who you are as a person, talk about, life and everything. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I really appreciate you. This is great.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for the day. Unless you have anything else.
I don't.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at sarahmeganjenkins.com. I do Instagram a lot. I do that more than anything because it not big on the Facebook world as I used to be. But Instagram and my website. And I'm going to be having a lot of updates soon. Things are slowly starting to get back into normal. So I do have an emailing list on my website that you can join, that when I do update, I make sure to send emails out.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.